Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. So glad you guys can be with us. We're going to be joining with our friends over here on Amazon Live here in a bit. Want to say hello to those joining us on social media. Appreciate you guys being with us. For our friends joining us now on Instagram, glad you all could join us as well. We're going to be changing things up on Instagram. They're letting us know they want more vertical content over there. So we're going to be limiting all the shows we can actually do for you guys. But we have something special coming up for you guys in a brand new show. There are friends on Amazon. I'm going to go ahead and bring them in so we can get into today's guest. And we are live on Amazon Live. We welcome you guys joining us on Amazon. Our brand new show, At Home with Cyrus Webb, kicks off next week, Tuesday, February the 4th. Hope you guys have made plans to join me for a brand new show. We're working with over 2,000 brands on the show. I've been planning this for months now. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you're not following us already on Amazon, hit that follow button in this corner or down below. You also will see some of the books by today's guest. Tanya White is back with us. We're so excited to kick off February with Tanya. You guys know her as a best-selling author. She's a motivational speaker. She's a media personality and so much more. Want to talk to her about what it's been like for her to use her own platform. And as we're kicking off Black History Month as well, what's been like for her to embrace her own history, as well as, of course, the importance of self-love. Hello to you, Jamar. Good to be able to see you over there on IG. Pele, hello to you over there on IG. But Tanya, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you, Cyrus Webb. I love being on your show.
I love having you on my show, and you got to have me on your show so I can talk about the new show on Amazon too. At Home with Cyrus.
I keep telling you, tell your people to call my people.
Look,
You are booked and busy and booked.
Look, we're going to set it up, but because I'm very excited about that. But Tanya, I'm excited to kick off February with you because you are doing so many exciting things. Full disclosure, Tanya's also a client of mine. I'm also have the privilege of being her publicist. But Tanya, even before we started working together, you have been really out there. Not only, of course, showing the importance of following your dreams, but as this book, Professional Lynch, shows, the importance of speaking up for yourself. What has it been like for you, Tanya, to not only to appreciate history, but also to be able to pave the way and make your own history?
It's been, first of all, liberating. As if you followed me, I always talk about my parents. I grew up in a household that parents, they first of all, stress education, stress knowing what's going on, stress Black history. And so, because they came from a time where in the 40s and 50s, they were in the heat of segregation. They were not allowed to do certain things. So education was liberation for them, and the dream, not just an American dream, but a family dream for them. My father came from a single mother. He did not know his father. He met him when he was an adult. My mother came from a two-parent home, but my grandfather was kind of abusive to my grandmother, and he was not in the home a lot. Due to working construction and then dealing with his own struggles as a Black man and not having a lot of education. I think he quit, if I can remember, in third grade. So education was was a pillar in my house. So being able to not only express myself, but express myself in the aspect of what history was and is, and what I created for myself as liberating.
Yeah, and I love it. Having read your work, we're going to be talking about this book, Professional Lynch, where you share your own experience of dealing with discrimination in the workplace. Tanya, but you also, again, as I mentioned, through your various platforms, whether it's through your books or even through your own show, Real Talk with Tanya White, you're able to spotlight others. How does that feel to know that you have a platform, either in the written form or even on a platform of media, where you can help other people to share their own stories and experiences too?
I love it. That's how I grew up. All my parents help people. That's in my DNA. Did it in church. My dad was a supervisor at an employment office, so he always helped people find jobs. When we were in church, my mom and dad always mentored and helped people live at another level. And so that's how I grew up. And so I love it. I love talking to people. I love hearing their backstories. People don't know that I really, I really am shy, and I'm an introvert when I have to restore myself. But when I am doing something that I'm passionate about and love, and it took me decades to get here, I love it. I love helping people elevate themselves. People have called me other people's biggest cheerleaders. And if you want something, you want to be connected or you want information, you better call Tanya White because she's going to help you, genuinely help you without any strings attached.
Right. But Tanya, you also are a person, I have to say, quite frankly, you practice what you preach. I think there are so many people out there who say they want something, but they're not willing to do the work. Anyone who follows you, again, like I said, even before I start working with you, you are a person of action. How important has that been for you to show by example the importance of making sure our words match our actions?
Oh Lord, I know y'all go hate keep me hearing this, but my daddy. Listen,
no, I love it.
My siblings would tell you. I mean, we were a reality show before we knew a reality show. Dealing with my dad, Joe White Senior. Listen. You are not going to just sit around and do nothing. You're going to get up. You're going to work. You're going to read. I'm talking about. This is why I hate doing line work now. Every Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning. He don't care. We having family time. You know what family time was? Cleaning up that big yard that had 14 trees, an apple tree, a cotton tree, a plum tree. And we spent hours doing something, but it was that action. It was that time for him to educate us. And really it was strategy building because whenever we said we want to do something, he's like, so how you going to do it? I need you to. So
yeah,
it's my daddy. Listen, you cannot say something and not do it. Not in the White House.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the White House in Louisville.
Right. I love it. But, and then now, of course, that brings us to where we are today. When you and I were setting up this conversation, Tanya, we talked about, I was asking you what you wanted to focus on. You mentioned professional lynch. I want to say this book is, and we could not have imagined when we scheduled this, because this is a few weeks ago when we scheduled this conversation, but we could not have imagined that, this will be as needed as it is. I want to talk about, first of all, it's one thing for us to hear about discrimination. It's one thing about hearing about people being marginalized. It's a totally different thing to experience it. What was it like for you to go from hearing about other people's experiences to you having the experience?
Well, it was shocking. Especially this happened in the 2000s, 2017, 2018. So yes, I'm a history buff.
Yeah.
So I'm very much, I know about history. My parents went through it. My parents went through discrimination. We had like truthful conversations of what they endured. And this was in the 70s and 80s with being promoted, having to endure certain things as Black professionals, Black educated professionals at that. So me hearing it and me saying, okay, not to say, oh, I would never deal with this, but hey, from you thinking in 2017, 2018 to compare it to the 1960s.
Yeah.
Oh, we've grown. But enduring that and experiencing that, first of all, you thinking, wait a minute, is this what I'm experiencing? Is it really discrimination? And because for a long time I always check myself, but during that time I had to check myself, seeing if I'm seeing something off. And so once I really checked myself and I sought counsel, it was discrimination. It was shocking to me to know that everything, not just my parents, but everything that our ancestors, Black and white, who were involved with equal rights and the civil rights movement, everything that they accomplished and got through, and there were laws in now, affirmative action, and all these great things that helped Black people, and not just Black people, every minority group. That's what we have to say. Civil rights was for every minority group. To see that even with those laws and protections, that there was a gray area, that was shocking to me. Now it's really scary to me to see that everything that is happening since January 20th, and they're everything is out with these executive orders, and all the protections are being trying to be eradicated. Lord, it's very scary because I experienced with all the protections in place what happened to me. Now with everything gone, it's a really scary thought to see what our nation is going to be like. But I'm confident because we've been through this before. it's going, and sometimes you need another struggle. You know what I'm saying? The struggle, when you struggle, sometimes unity comes all the time when you struggle, and then you can see things at a higher level. So I'm confident that with this next struggle that we're going through throughout our country, we're going to get on the other side, but have a new revelation. As Stevie Wonder says, we're going to higher ground. Okay.
There you go. Hello to you, Mitch C. Davis. I see you over there on IG. W.R. Franklin, hello to you. For those who are just tuning in, I see you guys over there on Amazon as well. If you guys have any questions for Tanya, make sure you guys put those in the chat. The chat is open. Tanya White is our guest. She's a best-selling author, media personality, the host of Real Talk with Tanya White, but also an educator. We're talking with her about her own journey in history, what it's been like for her to empower others, but also to use her own experiences. Like in this book, we have it on the Amazon side, Professionally Lynched. Really powerful. One of the things you talk about in this book, and I have talked about it before, Tanya, but I think it's really relevant for this conversation, is to be able to call things what they are. Oh, yeah. I think a lot of times when things happen, sometimes we're quick to try to dismiss it or not recognize it for what it is. How important was it for you in your situation to recognize the workplace injustice you were experiencing and to call that out?
Oh my God. Well, I'm the oldest and I'm the mama bear. And so it's innate in me. So I'm going to give you an example of one of the things that me calling a thing, that's what put an even bigger target on my back. As you know, if you're an educator, you know, and I don't care what school you are. I don't care if it's a predominantly Black and brown school. Black educators are the minority. Even more so a minority when you're a Black administrator. And so one of the things, when I became a school counselor administrator and had a seat at the table, the decision-making table, the scheduling table, got to schedule students in advanced placement program and you know, have more of a say. What I was seeing is when teachers complained about certain students, it was always Black and brown. And then other races could do the same thing, but it wasn't a big deal. And so when we're looking at data, it's always data driven. And I'm calling out, hey, you know, this Caucasian teacher is always got a problem with Black, brown students. Or this Caucasian teacher, because she teaches AP classes, she doesn't have Black or brown students. Why is that? And they are very capable. And so when I started calling out data and started to say, hey, this teacher, when she doesn't want a student, she can just say, you know, whatever, and get the student out. And then why the Black teachers got all the, not only Black and brown students, but all the students with behavior problems in her class. So it was very evident. And that's why I encourage parents to really get on PTA, school decision making, so you have a say. But one school is very apparent. I go into a Caucasian teacher's class. She may have 2 Black and browns. I go into a Black educator's class. Now, remember, we still the minority. Class 4 of Black and brown students. Black and brown students, and overcrowded at that. And they're all struggling readers. So when I started being at the decision-making table and asking the questions that people don't want to deal with, and saying there's a better solution. Yeah, no, it's just like that movie in Malcolm X, one of my favorite movies, when Malcolm and all his followers went to the hospital. Somebody got beaten, a Black man got beaten by the police. And he just simply put up his finger. They said, y'all got to dismiss. And he put up his finger quietly and they walked off quietly. And then at the end of the scene, the white police officer said, that's too much power for one Black man to have. When you speak up and you start dealing with data and you start bringing injustices and inequalities to light, it's like, you doing too much.
Yeah,
we got to figure out a way to get rid of her, him, because they're messing up our system. So, and these are with protections in place. Okay, this is why it's so scary. What's happening now? These are with protections in place. So, I've always spoken up because I always deal with the truth. and data. Numbers don't lie. And when you
Right.
start dealing with the truth, and people don't want to change, and they want things their way, and it's sometimes it's very um, personal biases and institutional racism. There's a gray line that they can continue to implement those policies, and I found that in the education system, that's what they're doing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think again your passion for it, and what I love too, I'm going to share a passage in the book. Tanya, it's not just about you. You're still looking out for others. Like you said,
mhm.
that Mama Bear comes out. Hello to you, Media Management 2024. Good to see you over there on IG. Young Jody, hello to you. The Real Lady Extreme, hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Lawrence French, hello to you. Tanya White is our guest, everyone. If you guys have not gotten her book, Professionally Lynched, we're excited that it is featured here on Amazon. I'm going to also let you guys know how to stay connected with Tanya as well. If you're watching the replay on IG as well, we'll make sure that Tanya is tagged there. I want to read something you wrote in the book, Tanya, because it goes to the point you were just making. As you were talking, I thought about it.
Where
It's
you
in
reading from,
chapter,
Cyrus? I'm gonna read with
yeah, chapter 3. So, do you really want to keep talking about it?
you.
You say this in on page 75. And I thought this was really interesting because even in what you were dealing with, you talked about your attitude and why you kept the attitude you had. You say this: despite the toxicity I endured, my professional energy remained positive. I love serving my students, parents, and staff. My professional blueprint for success was steeped in creating positive, reciprocal, and trusting relationships with all stakeholders. Surprisingly, my recipe for relationship success was greeting them with a warm smile, having consistent visibility, displaying an inviting disposition, following up promptly, and knowing stakeholders by name. I want to
Yes.
talk about that because it kind of reminds me of Michelle Obama's "When They Go Low, We Go High."
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing about you that I noticed in the book is that it's one thing if you were doing something
Mm-hmm.
that should cause you to be treated a certain way.
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing if you're not doing anything that should warrant your being treated a certain way.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you though, for people out there who have gone through this, have gone through discrimination, gone through injustice, how were you able to keep the smile on your face in spite of?
Woo! First of all, God. Two is because I knew that even though the powers that be were trying to taint my character, it wasn't who I was.
Yeah.
And so, at the heart of who I was, my character was Tanya. You're going to get a smile. I'm going to talk to you. And it doesn't matter what color, what race, what gender. When you come to Miss White is going to love you, but you're going to have structure. And if you do something wrong, I'm going to tell you and how we're going to have a plan. So, even with students, parents, and I'm very visible. And at that time, I lived in the area where I was working, and so I would see them out, and so that when they see you out of your position as counselor or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, where you? I'm gonna come to your church, or they invite me to a game. I come to a game, and so that's further building because I want to know how I can help you more, and how I can help you more is knowing who you are outside of that. So I was authentically myself. And what they would say, it was like when people say this don't even sound like Tanya, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And so that kept me. And sometimes you got to endure being attacked so you can get a revelation. Okay, it may be time for me to leave. My work here is done. And so it took me a while to really understand that because I'm about the people, I'm about the students.
Yeah.
But even now, some of my students are grown and they find me on social media. And they be like, Miss White, you remember me? I'll be like, yes, I do remember you. What are you doing? And so that is why I could continue to have a smile on my face because I knew I was true to who I was.
Right.
Even if they tried to share with anybody, they'd be like, that ain't Miss White. That ain't Tanya. That ain't Tanya I know. And so in authentically, yes, after it's the people who endured were the bosses who made me endure all that. They're no longer with that either, but their legacy is not my professional legacy. So I stand on my professional legacy. I did great work regardless of the lynching, and my students and staff members who work with me, and even parents who remember they know Miss White. I always felt that I had a voice, a choice, and I can always come to Miss White when I had a problem, and she's gonna tell me the truth. And not only tell me the truth, but connect me with somebody who can help me with whatever problem. So that is what got me through.
Got you. Today's short story, hello to you over there on Facebook. Good to see you. I want to read one more passage, Tanya, on page 150, because it goes to, again, the importance of the chain of command, but also the challenges and corrosiveness that can happen if things don't handle the right way. You say this: organizational cover-ups lead to corruption. Corruption gives birth to toxic leadership. Unchecked toxic leaders traumatize employees. So we're able to see the trickle-down effect. Traumatized employees cannot maximize their potential on the job or in their personal life. This cycle creates an unhealthy workplace and society.
Yes.
I want to talk about that part, because I think a lot of times, Tanya, for those of us who may not have gone through certain things, we don't realize it doesn't just affect you professionally. It affects you. Well, we know from you, because you talk about it. It does kind of deal with every aspect of your life. What has that message been like for you to share? That this is bigger than just a job. It really is about how you're able to show up in the world.
Well, in my upcoming book, The Team of We, the central message is that leaders, workers, we lead the way we live. And so if you're traumatized and you are a leader, you're going to be a traumatized leader. And then displace that trauma. If you are a traumatized worker, you're going to be traumatized in your life, and that's how you handle it. And so we have to understand that we can't compartmentalize who we are. We had this big thing. Oh, we can code switch. Okay, yeah, we could, but it's not sustainable, because the real you starts to show up wherever you go. And so one thing why I wrote that paragraph, and I remember it was because I lived in the city of Breonna Taylor. And so when the world was like in a shock and awe of what happened with Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky, and with Daniel Cameron, I'm like, this is the city I live in. You know, Kentucky only need one more K to be what? 3 Ks. I've lived this. So this was not a shock to us, because we've seen the toxic leaders at the local level, in organizations, in Fortune 500 companies. What happened at Breonna Taylor, the cover-ups, and then you finding out this is a way of life for Louisville, Kentucky. And so that is why I was like, when I was sitting and thinking, it is a trickle-down effect. And when it goes unchecked, or they say, no, we're not happy, it impacts society. And not just what I went through, my family was impacted because I was not showing up at home like the real T. That's my nickname. So when I was coming home distressed and, really crying and stuff, my siblings, my niece, who was even going to that school, they were impacted by how I was being treated indirectly. So it does have a trickle down effect. It impacts who you are professionally, but also personally. And you have to deal with it. I had to get therapy. I had to get legal counsel and all that. So it impacts, but you can grow through it. Unfortunately, it's just another part of our society. Our society is not really positive when you look at the core of what we're doing as a society. It's a lot of cover-ups, a lot of elephants in the room.
Yeah. So. And that's why I think conversations are so important like this. ESP Presents, hello to you. I want you guys to let you know, again, if you're on the Amazon side, make sure you guys do get your copy of Professionally Lynched. You guys can see it there. And also, you can see her book, The Prayers of the Righteous and Grieving, available much there as well. There on Amazon. For those of you who are not joining us on the Amazon platform, there's a link that will bring you guys over. I also want to let you guys know, because of everything that was happening in Los Angeles in January, we pushed back the first issue of 2025 of Conversations Magazine to this week. But guess who is also on the cover of that issue? My guest, Tanya White. So the issue is officially available on Amazon next week. So you guys will be able to get your copy of Conversations Magazine 2025, A Year of New Beginnings, featuring Tanya White, Dr. Norma McLaughlin, Earl Hall, Ellie Dulcimer. Also, we have Moses Maddox. You guys have seen him a lot on Instagram. And also a recording artist got a chance to interview. I love her story, Jamie Fine. You'll be able to read that again in the upcoming issue of Conversations Magazine out this first week of February. So make sure you guys look for that. Of course, we'll keep you posted on that. I'm so proud of you, Tanya. So glad that we get a chance to have this conversation. I do have a question from ESP Presents on Facebook. How do you feel about today's society? How can we heal as a people congregation? I love that.
Yeah. How we can heal is, first of all, speaking the truth of what is, not what was, not what we want. We got to deal with what is happening. Then we have to put a personal, I don't want to call it agendas, but experiences aside and deal with the collective. How is it, just like with the civil rights movement, they was forward thinking I don't want my kids, my grandkids to go through this. So yes, we're dealing with it, but we're coming together, unifying and healing because for the future generations. I don't want any of my nephews and nieces to have to deal with what I dealt with. Is it going to be possible? No, but I want to make sure what I'm doing now is setting up, having conversations, being active. One of the things, I'm part of Delta Sigma Theta, and social action is one of our pillars. And so we're getting involved. We're having Delta Day at the state capitol. We're going to our national convention. Ironically, this year is in DC. So we're gonna have work to do in July. By July, we're gonna have some work to do. And so getting involved and being active and thinking collective mindset of moving the generation forward is how we're going to heal.
Love that. Again, everyone, Tanya White has been our guest. She's a best-selling author, media personality, the host of Real Talk with Tanya White, an educator, motivational speaker, a great individual to be able to kick off February for us. Tanya, appreciate you. How can our audience stay connected with you?
Stay connected with me on all social media. Real Talk with Tanya White. Tanya is Tanya. White is in the color. My Real Talk with Tanya White show comes on Facebook Live, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can subscribe to Real Talk with Tanya White on YouTube, and it comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Love it. Congratulations to you, Tanya. Looking forward to some great things this month and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you, Cyrus. I love talking to you.
Same here. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents and Conversations Live. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.